Our next panel explores how hospitality brands are approaching and adapting to the Middle East. Moderating this session is Ms. Seymone Moodley, Editor-in-Chief of Hotel and Catering News Middle East. Seymone is a qualified journalist from South Africa with extensive experience in digital communication and broadcast media. Before joining Hotel and Catering News Middle East, she reported and produced stories for globally recognized organizations including the BBC, CNBC Africa, Forbes Africa, and Forbes Women Africa. Joining her on stage as panelists are Mr. Amit Puri, Chief Executive Officer, BCD Global, Ms. Lema Yazigi, Senior Director of Development, Middle East and Africa at Minor Hotels, and Mr. Nayar, Executive Vice President, Strategic Development at the Oberoi Hotels and Resorts. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming them on stage.
Comfortable? Oh my God, this one's good.
Comfy?
Can everybody hear us? Okay. Please feel free, and I'm not going to prompt you to take a step forward, but if you want to come closer, feel free to do that at any time. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for giving us your time on this Friday afternoon. We hope to make it worth your while. As the MC said to you already, my name is Seymone Moodley. It's a pleasure to moderate this panel today. The topic is answering a simple question. As an owner or an investor, where should I be putting my money in hospitality and tourism right now, and why? I think it would be good to get a sense of who's in the room for us. So can I get a show of hands if you are an investor or an owner? What about, okay, we have a gentleman over there, okay. What about any hotel GMs or C-suite executives in hospitality? Okay, everyone else? Just here for the vibes? Okay, well, look, let's get straight into it. And Amit, I'm going to start with you first. Can you tell us where are owners exactly investing, not just talking about it?
So I think it's getting back to the basics right now. This is a stage today in Dubai where we are seeing the speculations gone. We see a lot of end users coming in, so the owners want to see returns which are long-term, but they are willing to wait for delivery and wait for operational efficiencies. So currently we are seeing a lot of demand in markets like Dubai South, which is our focus as well as a new developer. The Dubai market last year gave about 682 billion dirhams of sale, and out of that, about 25 billion was in Dubai South, so about 4%. But what's important is that 2024, Dubai had, from 2024-25, Dubai got a 30% rise in the total sale value. But when you compare that to Dubai South, it got a 90% raise. So it was 16 billion of sale that went to 25 billion. So I think people are going towards the Dubai South side there. We are going to other markets as well, like Barsan, for example, is our project in Barsan 4. So currently, the owners are looking at places where the land prices are not too high, so they can make some sense out of it and make some good margins, because that's where you can build something productive and build something efficient for the market, which is a 1 to 2 million dirham market. So I think that's where more than 60% of the sales are happening today in Dubai. Last year, also the data suggests the same. So the owners are looking at that sweet spot of 1 to 2 million in markets where the land prices are still low.
So follow the money, not the noise then.
That's it.
Okay.
That's the golden rule.
So, Lema, I want to bring the discussion over to you. You can talk to us about different kinds of brands, because you have experience in that. How does one match the right destination to the right brand?
Well, we have, obviously every year we sit and we map out what we're seeing in terms of demand drivers, what people are asking for, developers, what's the trend. And we sort of match brands to that in key markets in different cities. We are seeing a shift. We do see sometimes now a lot more demand on upper upscale and primary destinations that are calling for wellness, F&B. So, for instance, in Africa, we see NH collection growing significantly. We just did a signing earlier, an hour ago, for Zanzibar NH collection. We have another one in an hour for Ghana. It's a lot of what the developers and the owners want, but sometimes also it's brand positioning. So obviously with Anantara, we wouldn't be doing more than 1 or 2 in any key cities. For us, it's really, I would say we come from an owner background as minor hotels. That's how we started initially. Before we were asset light, we were actually an owner and developer. So we understand bottom lines and we try to drive bottom lines, and we don't shy away from advising owners and developers what makes sense. So sometimes that's our key motive there. It's really driving bottom lines.
Okay. Samir, it's your turn now. Let's rephrase this question a little bit. How does Oberoi specifically evaluate where not to go?
See, the markets, we are an owner, we're an operator, we do management contracts, and we continue to invest. So we look at both things. We love owning assets, we have no problems, and we'd like to do more. So the evaluation is really to see on both where we could do management contract or investment, and we need to obviously there are 2 different mindsets to it. Now, from a purely where to establish the flag, I think the question is, there are 2 types of properties you could look at. One, either it's an established destination where you're coming in, or it's a destination which doesn't exist to be created. And we're doing both. Even as we speak, the established destinations are all too well known, whether it's in cities or Goa and other leisure spots, even overseas in Marrakesh, etc. Or places like Khajuraho in India, where there isn't a destination today, at least not at the caliber of luxury hotels. We are building that. We've recently opened a property which is 400 years in making. It was a 400-year-old fort that we've restored into a 66-room hotel. A lot of work, a lot of effort has gone into it. We truly believe it's an exceptional property.
Can you tell us which location that is in?
In Khajuraho, which is where the Khajuraho temples are, in Madhya Pradesh, central India. So we are open to both. I think what we really look for is it truly a wonderful destination? Can we have an exceptional product? We stand by the unequivocal commitment we have to creating truly remarkable properties, even if we have to do only a few in our lifetime, but we want to make them really special. So that's really what triggers it all. So it's not just that it has to have a high density of tourist footfall. Sure. It needs to have 500 flights in and out of the place. That's okay. We can, we really want to create something really exceptional.
Okay. Amit, what markets are overpriced versus underdeveloped?
So again, this is BCD Global. I represent a company called BCD Global.
Yes. So
when we're talking about these questions, I'm talking about only UAE for now.
Okay.
Although our goal is to get truly global. Mm-hmm. Our headquarters is in India. Mm-hmm. But we want to get all over the Middle East. We want to get to Europe, America, everywhere from here. But we'll keep the headquarters here. So markets in the UAE today, we want to establish ourselves first. Within the UAE, I gave you certain sectors where we think that the prices of land make sense today, where the actual customer is sitting, for people who are coming from anywhere in the world. So for us, it's important that we understand now within these markets, within the UAE today, I want to focus on Dubai, number 1. I want to get to Abu Dhabi and Ras Al Khaimah, following in that order. And we have joint ventures and we have more projects signed up. Currently, there are only 2 in Dubai, but we have 5 more where we have signed up the term sheets in other Emirates as well. So UAE story is very strong, and we want to go more by delivery, which means the product should speak for itself rather than the marketing buzz, and which is how we have survived for 74 years as a construction company, and that's what we need to do here. So we're identifying those sweet spots where the price of land today is not over 250, 200 dirham a square foot. Okay, that is the prime criteria. And then we are looking to get into branded residences. That's why we are here. We're talking to a few leading brands, hotel brands, and that helps us out, for us to sell it, because Within those brands, there are a bouquet of their own brands, and depending on which market we go to, where we do our project, we pick up, cherry pick one of their brands, which is good for the customer, the end user for that market. So we are going anywhere the end user wants to go today, and Dubai is getting more and more connected, and with the metro and with all the infrastructure. So we think that certain markets where we already there, and certain markets where where the customer demand is dominant, that's where our focus will be.
I think by now everybody has a very clear understanding why the Middle East is such an exciting market. You mentioned that you do want to go global, but you have your structured cities as a priority. Is there any market outside of the UAE that's interesting for you, just for research purposes?
Surely Saudi Arabia. I think we worked there already in Riyadh and in Jeddah. We have done infrastructure projects there in the 90s and the early 2000s. So we still have a license, contracting license, valid for Riyadh, which means we definitely want to go back there. But as I said, we want to focus here first. And within the Middle East, these are the two major players that we see. And we had worked in Iraq earlier in the 1980s. We did the Basra city there. We did full townships there. So but this is all for third-party developers. And now we are developing for ourselves, which is we are not going to be constructing for anybody else, but we develop for ourselves.
Fair enough. Thank you, Amit. Lema, can you explain to us how demand differs between primary and secondary cities?
Yeah, so when we're looking at primary cities, we're seeing a lot within the GCC, at least. We're still seeing a big growth on branded residences, mixed-use developments. Surprisingly, whether it's primary or secondary, it's a lot on experiences. So for example, in Saudi Arabia, we're doing a lot of discussions on the table right now that we're closing are related to very boutique, niche, luxury experiences that bring indigenous luxury. In primary cities, same market, they're looking at upper upscale, a lot of focus on upper upscale, where there is a component of F&B and wellness that drives the demand. So it's really not, it's not copy-paste sort of primary wherever you go, it's very different. Wellness is a big focus. We've launched a concept called Life in Phuket, and the showcase was at Nayar Life, but it's a longevity program, and we've seen that really grow now into even the upper upscale. So we take that concept and we really tailor-make it for whether it's an Avani or an NH collection. I think those are the key components. Primary or secondary, it's really what they're looking for. It's a lot more on the experiences either way.
So it's a brand by brand, city by city evaluation.
It's city by city. You can't really copy paste one to the other. So if you're talking about Dubai or Riyadh, it's not the same like talking about Zanzibar. Zanzibar is seeing a major, for us at least, a lot of branded residences, a lot on wellness, farm to table approach. But then you go to Ghana, which we're going to do later this afternoon, the signing for that, straightforward conference facilities. It's really different, but it's what can the brand offer in any of those markets.
I'd be very curious to pose this next question to all three of you. Based on your experience, what do you think are the mistakes that owners keep repeating over and over again that you've seen personally? Start with you, Samir.
Wait, so that I understand the question. Why do I think...
What mistakes do you think owners keep repeating?
The owners... no, they never make mistakes. They know it well. I think the thing that I confront the most in my work, in my role for management contracts is most about mismatch of the market and the positioning.
Okay.
Very often the owner would come in, luxury is very loosely used as a term. We want to build a luxury hotel. My first thing is, okay, I just need to see if there's a rate potential. Right? And like I mentioned, we don't worry about if there's no destination. We have done this, and we are very proud of doing this for other projects also. But we can create destinations and put in a good hotel, etc. But there are various components that need to come in, whether you can get that rate and all the other things that can support that rate. So that is a clear misalignment, because that's where you talk about, listen, why would you build a hotel? What is the motivation? And then suddenly when you think of it and it doesn't make economic sense, even if we are the operator, we don't do those projects. We just don't. Because ultimately, it'll all catch up. So we have two brands. One is India-focused entirely. The Oberoi is a more global brand. And I think our discussion is always around saying, look, this is not the market yet. And many a times I've introduced them to consultants. I've even introduced them to other brands to say, look, they have the right portfolio for you. You should talk to them, do your work. I've done this many a time. So I think this is the biggest mismatch in where if the owners are a little bit more prudent about what is the market, why would anyone come, what is the destination about, etc., then that could help a lot of conversations.
Samir, if I could just stay with you for a moment. Based on your answer, can you tell us what are the characteristics that make a destination worthy of a luxury hospitality brand?
See, in a conventional way, obviously, things like connectivity is very important. Where are the travelers coming from is very important because that section of traveler needs to pay you the high rate. Mm-hmm. I'll give you one small example where we do a lot of these safari lodges. We are doing 4 of them right now. 2 are open, 2 are in the pipeline, and maybe another 2 will come. But many of them, the rates that we get in one of our properties, which is near Delhi, in a place called Ranthambore, it's about a 4-hour drive from Delhi. That rate in occupancy is something we've been over many a times with owners to say that may not come through in another national park. Tiger density, forest arrangements, that's all fine. But what makes this particular project exceptionally successful? It's only 25 tents and we do a operating profit of about 30 crores. That's about a little less than 4 million US. But what makes it really successful is because it's on the Delhi, Jaipur, Agra triangle circuit, international, local, driving distance. All of those things add up to it. Now that may not happen in the center of the country, that may not happen in the west part of the country. There are multiple such. So we keep having those discussions to say, look, there are various ingredients that go into getting you that rate. So it's about really, to short answer, connectivity, the kind of traveler coming in, the frequency of travel, the motivation, and truly if you can create a wonderful project. I mean, we've done this even in the destination, felt a little bit weak, but the site was exceptional, and we said, look, we can create something really important. So those are things for us.
Thank you, Samir. Lema, so in your experience, what do you see owners repeatedly making the same mistake about?
I think it's pretty much doing the same that we've constantly been seeing. Sometimes a mismatch between product and positioning. We often say, go into markets that you create the destination. So we love working with owners that go into something completely virgin territory or adding a brand that doesn't exist. We also are starting to see that, to this point, a lot of owners are starting to look for newer brands or brands that are not as present in markets, whether it's in Saudi Arabia, we're seeing a lot of that. In Egypt, we saw that, and that's the reason, actually, we signed a JV co late last year, actually, with our partners there, Sunrise Hotels, who want to grow new brands in Egypt with 50 coming into the market. So I think it's doing the same over and over and not, trying to diversify a little bit, whether it's new brands, whether it's new products, new destinations, creating your own story. That's what they should be doing more of.
Amit?
Yeah, I'll just, to build on her point, I think she's hit it on, the bullseye, because misalignment is number one for the owners. And it actually, you need to know which brands need to go with you in which market. That's very, very important, rather than an ego play. So I think it boils down to, you got to separate ego from the actual business. And I think owners keep repeating that. And I work with many billionaires to actually know that now, that you have to massage the ego, but you have to keep business first. And therefore tell them that, for example, in a market like Dubai South, I cannot do an Anantara, I can do an Edge. But I need to be very clear with the owner that there's no point we wait for a decision which is not particular for that market or not going to be fruitful for that market. So I think that's important to manage those expectations of the owners. And beyond that, obviously, they are also time and again ignoring operational realities, which today, for example, an AI is a given, which you should be using, from construction till the operations. When there are 2.5 billion hits or 2.5 billion prompts that are being searched on ChatGPT every day, that the customer is much more aware today. And therefore, the owner needs to know that as well, not whatever the owner thinks is always right. So that is the actual mistake that I see a lot of times, where you're a little away from the market, the actual ground reality, and therefore the job as a CEO is to get that back in place and on the ground. So that's the main mistake that I see with the owners.
Maybe we can swap strategies on how to massage egos after the panel, so we can compare notes.
Right. It's an art in itself, yeah.
But I mean, it must be rather challenging, though, to find the right teams that match with personalities of the owners, or is that not a real thing?
Yeah, so it's important to understand the psyche of the owner, very important, and then say, is there any way possible that you can actually execute that vision? So our company actually, we built the first Oberoi in India, and that was in 1965, Oberoi Hotel. So we go a long way back in terms of experience of doing hospitality assets. And not just hospitality, we're actually quite agnostic. We've done senior living homes, we've done student housing, we've done industrial parks, steel plants. So it's all over the place. But in hospitality, it's a very different and a very fragile game, where the brand has positioned itself already, and we are tagging on to that brand now. Now, I may not be that big a brand. Today, I have to realize that, where I'm saying, okay, I'm a 74 years old company, but there's a brand which is already existing and which is doing well. So my owner needs to know that it can only be a happy marriage if I understand the value that that brand is getting in. So that's a very, very fine line there, where I think that that's the role of the senior leaders, to pick up people like that in the senior management team, to actually try and align the owner with that mindset.
Thank you for that. Lema, based on the work that you've been doing with Minor, where are you seeing lifestyle resort and urban hotels performing the best right now? In which markets?
It's quite diverse. I think we're seeing, so Anantara or resorts continue to have a lot on the wellness, so experiences. Again, to the point that I mentioned earlier, that's why the concept of life that we created in Layan came to be, and now we're seeing that longevity programs very much in demand. So we do take that really into all levels, not just resorts, but particularly in resorts. It's about bringing the local indigenous luxury, having programs that cater to adults, to families. That continues to be a major component. F&B is a major component. With the upper upscale products, we're seeing that, again, there needs to be something different. So whether it's an F&B that drives the program, not just a typical hotel, but there needs to be a wellness program, an F&B program, newer brands, newer concepts. That's what we're seeing on repeat. So sometimes it's also products that need to speak their own story, and as a result, we've noticed that, and you can't always plug that story into any of the existing brands. So we've typically had 8 core brands. This year we launched 4 new brands. 2 of them are soft brands. One is at a luxury positioning, the other is at a more upper upscale, to really support that drive of also speaking the story that the owner wants to speak.
Interesting. Samir, can you tell me what are some of the risks and common pitfalls that you think owners should be mindful of in the luxury domain?
I think selecting the right market, like we said, the market fit for the luxury is to be very important. Within luxury also, the brand you choose is extremely important. Not every luxury brand is the same. They don't operate the same way. International brands in India have a certain strength. Domestic brands have certain other attributes. So how you choose between them, the development spends for a brand are very different for each of them. How patient are you with that sort of investment? Those are all very, very important factors which generally get overlooked sometimes. And I think the common pitfall is just don't overspend, overbuild. Don't do that. I mean, that's where the brand is important. Every brand will have a certain attribute and design specification standards that will come along. You should do your investigation on what the development spends are. We have that conversation. I like to have that conversation very early on in the meeting, because there's no point we don't work with, as a company, we don't work with printed, published standards as such. We work with benchmark hotels, and we work with sort of giving references to the way we'd like to create a product, and we want the true creativity to be there, and we let that know very early on in the process. I think the cost spend is very, very important in that context. The other thing I'd always feel is do not start without getting a brand on board. Many a time people start, appoint an architect, get planning done, start building, and then say, we'll get a brand. Look, every brand will come in and tell you things which may not be entirely in line with what you've envisaged. So work with the brand, get them on very early in the process. It goes back to it, then you'll spend right. Don't start to think that you can save. It doesn't quite roll. So those are some of the things that we encounter fairly commonly.
Thank you. That's interesting.
I want to add a little bit to that.
Yes.
Because I think, again, Sameer's taken the right points, but it's important that you do the proper research. Not many developers or owners are doing that today. They're going more as a herd mentality. Everyone's going to a particular location, let's just go there. So I think that's one of the main reasons of the pitfall. And therefore, it's important that you do your proper research and know your demand and supply, and based on that, then do the actual start of construction or phase it out as it's required. So owners need to very well know this, and that's how a development plan becomes successful in the long term.
What, in your experience, has been the best advice you've given an owner before they signed anything?
Not to build. Sometimes
build.
to say, like in the MAC, for example, I was asked by the chairman, Mr. Sajwani, in 2021, so Amit, where should we build our next mall? And the next mall in Dubai. And I said,
we don't have enough of those.
I don't think you should build in Dubai. And he said, no, why not? You come with such a good retail experience, and we should do a good mall together, a large mall, regional mall. And I said, no, there are already large players in the regional mall market. There is a Dubai Mall, there is a Mall of Emirates, there is a Murdiv, there is a Dubai Hills now coming up, and which will eat into Dubai, the Mac Hills Mall. So you shouldn't be doing that mall. So to say no is very important. And if you always follow, whatever the owners want you to follow, you don't speak out your mind. And the owners, they actually, in the background, they know that this is just a yes man. So it's important to tell the owners what's right professionally, and even if it's a no, and your future is secured, but you should still be able to say no, is what I believe.
Amit, you don't strike me as the type of person who has a problem saying no at all. So we'll take some tips from you on that too later. Lema?
It's an answer. No, it's a sentence in itself. No.
That's good advice.
You shouldn't do it.
That's good advice. Lema, what are brands and developers saying about the next 3 to 5 years that you think this room should be aware of?
Well, I mean, we're seeing a lot more demand in condos, surprisingly. Everyone wants to build and sell. We used to say no to that before as an operator because of, it's complex. I think we're starting to become more flexible towards that, and we're accepting the fact that this is somehow trendy. I think if there was a piece of advice to give, it's really to try to do something different and new, like I was saying earlier, new markets, new destinations, create the destination, rather than doing more of what everyone else is doing in the same markets. Diversify a little bit more.
So go sort of where the demand is real, not just trending.
Yeah, I mean, I use Zanzibar as an example. We've seen major demand in Zanzibar. Now suddenly we're doing 3 different contracts, their deals, and it's very different products, and there is demand, but they were the first to really take that bet, and it's worked. We've seen it when we did when we signed the retreat in Abu Dhabi. That was something very new. Not many operators wanted to take that on board. When we did, we took the risk, but it's worked. But it was something that was new in a destination along the way that no one would have stayed in before. So I think that's the key message, really.
Okay. Sameer, what about you? Posing that question to you as well. What are you seeing brands and developers looking ahead in the next 3 to 5 years?
See, I'd answer that more in the context of India, where we are more active.
Okay.
I wouldn't want to generalize that for the Middle East, where we are not as active. But in India, certainly there are, there's been a huge growth in the last several years. It's been led by a lot of domestic leisure, and it's across the segments. It's in the budget to 3-star, 4-star, all the way to luxury. Probably the luxury brands, vast number of them are represented in a handful of cities in the country, which is there. But that horizon is expanding to other cities as well. We don't see that changing. What is slightly concerning is, yeah, there is a lot of demand, but there's been a lot of talk, at least at the bank level, the amount of consumer credit that has gone up exponentially in India in the last 5-6 years. A lot of that money has gone towards two things: buying mobile phones and taking holidays, which is worrying, because that level of demand is not sustainable. One has to be pragmatic about it. One has to think of what if there's an issue. These things were not there in India previously. But yeah, last year, circa 12, 15 months, this has been very vocal. All the banks are flagging this risk. So there are these concerns that one has to heed to. But in general, I think because the domestic market is tremendously strong, it's the third largest airline market in the world. There are 1,000 aircrafts on order which are being delivered measly to these two airlines in India, Indigo and Air India, which hopefully will come on soon. There are about 150 new airports coming up or expanded. That's a lot of growth. So I think for India, and primarily, it's a domestic leisure story, and how best it can be captured or should be captured is what we look out for, and knowing the risk that I pointed out.
Samir, if I gave you a blank check, and
I love it. Go on. You have me.
And I have your attention now? Okay.
Yeah.
And I told you that you could develop in any location, anywhere. Where would you go first, and what would you do?
Ooh. Globally or in India?
Okay. Wherever you want. There's no rules.
That's a tricky one. I've never had that kind of an opportunity. I'm always scavenging, so
You're always constrained.
I'm always constrained. Look, I think for us in particular, I'd talk for Oberoi, I'd go into a market where we are a high service, high touch point service model. High labor, high touch point service model. I'd go into markets where the labor cost is far more affordable, because that's the service. We're not about technology. We like that old-fashioned human touch, greet and meet and walk you to your room and carry your bags and then ask you 5 times over. So we like that. So I'd look at markets in Asia where there is a natural tendency to serve well. And generally the markets in Asia, whether it's Vietnam, Thailand, Laos, Cambodia, etc., very actively look at that. Middle East, of course, is booming. It's got other attributes, which is working very well, especially for Dubai. To me, in this market, it'll be only the city, frankly, in the Middle East. It's just, it occupies the biggest mind space. So yeah, if you gave me a free check, I'd sadly take it to Asia somewhere. But let's see.
Not sadly. I would visit your resort when you open it. Let me know. We'll talk about that blank check later.
Certainly.
Lema, has there ever been a situation in your experience where the market was fantastic, the brand didn't work, or vice versa? How did you overcome that? If there's any advice you can give the audience that would be beneficial.
There are several opportunities. I mean, we've been in discussions, obviously, where the brand didn't work. We've taken a chance, it hasn't worked. Luckily, I think we have a very good relationship with our owners, partners. We call them partners because we tend to sign more with the same partner rather than just multiple owners, where we've advised to change things around. At the end, bottom line is important, and like I said earlier, we don't shy away from giving that advice. Yes, I mean, we've been successful in changing the brand. We have a lot of brands that we can offer, 12 brands from luxury down. At luxury, we have several. Again, the introduction of soft brands has helped. So this has made that the case easier for us, where certain opportunities didn't work, and then we're able to change the brand, and that helps.
You mentioned the relationship with owners, and if it is particularly strong, you can always get new business from one, client, if you will, or owner. Do you know what owners want?
Well, we do, I think. Me
You do?
personally, I don't know.
What do you think it is? What do you think they want?
They want, I think, the most important factor is really to work with an operator they feel comfortable with, in the sense that they similar objectives, meeting the team, efficiency in how we deal with things, really driving support and driving bottom lines. That really helps them. Having trust in the operator that you work. Some owners want the bottom line. Some owners want the prestige. It's really a different objective for either. But I think from our side, we continue to work with owners that share that similar mindset. They come back to us time and time again because we've done something right on the bottom line for sure, and that's what they've wanted. Today, the second signing for Zanzibar is with the owner of the Anantara Zanzibar. So he has trust in the brand, the company that he's working with. So he felt compelled to give another opportunity. We have the options. Not everything is a luxury. So for him, it made sense.
Thank you. Amit, what about you? What do you think owners want at the end of the day?
Owners want profit, and they want long-term profit. Okay, most owners today, I've seen that they don't look at short-term; they're looking at long-term. In a market like this as well, which was very speculative till a few years ago. Mm-hmm. So I think it's important that for professionals like us to kind of advise them that long-term profitability comes through the right partners, in every sphere that you go to, and therefore that's our job. And this is an era of collaboration. So if the owner understands that, we will not try and do everything by ourselves. We have the back end very strong right now in terms of construction, but we need a lot of front ending. That means we need a lot of relationships with brokers, a lot of relationships with hotel chains, relationships with investors or private equity funds, because we're going to institutionalize our company. We're actually forming a fund in DIFC as we speak, BCD Global Fund,
okay,
which will primarily be for distressed assets and for any kind of downturn that the market may see next year. So we're trying to get ready for that, and therefore it's important that owners see profitability in the long term, and what are the fundamentals that take you to that. That's important.
So the title of this discussion is Hot Spots for Development. If you could sum it up, what makes a spot hot for development? I mean, I know there's many, many things.
What makes a spot hot?
Yeah.
Wow, this is
That is the title. I swear I didn't come up with that. I was just given that, the working title.
Well, actually, there are many features for it, many factors for it. But I think starts from the land price, because that's the core of any development. And therefore, you cannot go just because there are other developers who are going there. You have to, or other hotel operators who are going there. You have to go where it makes sense to you. And therefore, that it starts from there. A hotspot is somewhere where the infrastructure is still not reached, but you know that the infrastructure will reach there, later on, and therefore it's a growth story in the long term. So for us, therefore, the micro markets which are situated away from the downtown or Business Bay or from these islands, Palm and all of that, for us those outskirt markets make much more sense today, because Dubai is growing everywhere. Sure. So hotspots for us would be spots like Dubai South. We think that's where the city center is going to move in 10 years from now.
Makes sense. Okay, so we've got about 2 minutes. I'd like to ask each of you a final question, and then hopefully we have some burning questions from all of you that are kind enough to share your time. Samir, I'm going to start with you. I don't have any more checks. But if an owner came to you today and asked you where to focus their next hospitality investment in the next 12 months, what would you tell them?
What location to go for? Location, city, or?
It's up to you. What do you think? They just wanted to know what should they be focusing on in the next 12 months, if you could give them one piece of advice for the next 12 months.
Well, I'll get them to, at least if it's in Dubai, I'll get them to capitalize more of the city. The network effects are not going away anywhere. The city is expanding, the airport's moving, the connectivity is improving, everything's there. The foreign governments are more than supportive of Dubai getting all the people from there, whether it's the UK or another part of Europe. So I think certainly it should be in here. It's whether it's on the hospitality side or on the real estate, on the residences side. Just yesterday, I was talking to somebody who is building homes in Dubai Hill, and the reaction I was getting from them around the kind of sales that are happening and who are the buyers and all cash transactions, no mortgages and all, it's phenomenal. So there is definitely a lot of interest in Dubai. So I think for Middle East, I'd certainly put my money here.
Thank you, Samir. Lema?
Well, I won't mention a specific city or destination.
Sure.
I think it's more, again, to what I had said earlier, a place where you can speak your own story, create your own destination, and the numbers make sense, definitely. I mean, we've seen the most random places do really well. And I think that's where the focus, that's what creates a destination, really. That's the hotspot.
What kind of brand would you suggest that they focus majority of their investment in the next 12 months?
It's really different. I mean, it depends on the budgets. It depends on what they want to do. But there's always a story to speak with an Antara, but there's equally a story to speak with an Avani or an NH collection. It's really what are you trying to do? What's the destination you're creating? Who are you targeting? But try to do something different. That's the hotspot, really, at the end.
Nice. Amit?
Yeah, I already answered that. It's Dubai, Abu Dhabi, and Ras Al Khaimah.
You did answer that already. You're right.
In that order, that's it.
You were
for me. And then we go to Saudi after that.
Yeah. Okay. Clear and precise. I love it. Well, thank you so much for your time. Ladies and gentlemen, can we get a round of applause, please, for our excellent speakers?
Thank you.
Thank you as well for your time. I know that it's Friday, and I hope that we've benefited you. Does anybody have any questions? None. It's either we did a good job or you're looking to chat to them afterwards. Either which way, thank you again for your time. Have a good Friday. Thank you so much.
Thanks for being a wonderful moderator. Thank you.
That was amazing. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.